The intelligence came from an unlikely source, a Decepticon defector, Jetfire, an ancient seeker who'd grown disillusioned with Megatron's brutality over millions of years, arrived at Peterson Space Force Base in the middle of the night, transforming from SR-71 Blackbird alt mode to robot form and broadcasting on every frequency simultaneously. Autobots, Republic forces, humans of Earth. I am Jetfire, former Decepticon scientist. I carry intelligence regarding imminent attack that will result in planetary extinction if not prevented. I request immediate audience with your command authority. The response was predictable. Weapons trained from every angle. F-35s scrambling, clone troopers establishing perimeter, and Optimus Prime arriving within minutes, his massive form blocking Jetfire's potential escape routes. Jetfire, Optimus stated, recognition clear in his voice. You were Megatron's chief scientist, responsible for weapons that destroyed Autobot cities. Why should we believe you've defected? Because I'm old, Prime, Jetfire replied with weariness that transcended species. 4 million years old. I've watched Megatron descend from revolutionary to tyrant. I've built weapons I regret. I've enabled atrocities that haunt my processors, and now he plans something that crosses even my corrupted moral boundaries. Total planetary sterilization of Earth through orbital bombardment. The statement made everyone present freeze. Specifics, General Webb demanded, having arrived with military escort. When? Where? How? 72 hours from now, Jetfire explained, projecting holographic tactical data from his internal systems. Megatron has positioned Decepticon warships at Lagrange points around Earth, 20 vessels total, each equipped with plasma bombardment weapons capable of glassing continents. Simultaneously, Count Dooku has repositioned separatist capital ships for orbital fire support. Combined firepower exceeds anything your defenses can withstand. Why tell us? Obi-Wan Kenobi asked, having sensed Jetfire's arrival through the Force and rushed to the briefing. If Megatron wins, you'd have access to Earth's resources. Why betray your faction? Because victory through genocide isn't victory, Jetfire stated, with conviction that sensors confirmed as genuine. I joined the Decepticons to free Cybertron from oppression, not to exterminate innocent species who had nothing to do with our war. Megatron has become exactly what we fought against. I won't enable that anymore. You're asking us to trust a Decepticon, Admiral Yularen's hologram observed skeptically, a being whose faction has killed thousands of humans already. Why should we believe this isn't elaborate deception? Because I'm giving you tactical data you can verify independently, Jetfire replied, transmitting detailed ship positions, weapon specifications, and attack timelines. Check your sensors. Confirm the Decepticon vessels at Lagrange points. Verify separatist ship movements. The intelligence is accurate because it's real. Roland, the Republic AI, with access to Earth's most advanced sensors, ran the analysis in microseconds. He's right. I'm detecting exactly 20 Decepticon signatures at the coordinates he specified. Energy readings consistent with charging weapons. Republic sensors confirm separatist capital ships repositioning. Sir, if this data is accurate, we're looking at coordinated orbital bombardment in 72 hours that would render most of Earth's surface uninhabitable. The briefing room fell into horrified silence. How do we stop it? President Morrison asked, his voice steady despite existential dread. You can't, Jetfire replied bluntly. Not with current assets. The Decepticon warships are shielded against your primitive weapons. Republic Star destroyers could engage them, But you only have 6 vessels in Earth orbit against 20 Decepticon warships plus Separatist support. You're outgunned, outmaneuvered, and out of time. Then what do you suggest? Optimus asked his ancient enemy turned potential ally. I suggest you let me help, Jetfire stated. I know Decepticon shield frequencies. I know their weapon reload cycles. I know exactly where their vulnerabilities are because I designed most of their systems. With my assistance, 6 Republic Star Destroyers might accomplish what would otherwise require 20. And in return, Obi-Wan pressed, knowing there was always a price. Asylum, Jetfire replied simply. Protection from Megatron's retaliation. A place to exist without enabling atrocities. I don't ask for trust. I know I haven't earned it. But I offer expertise that might save your world. The decision is yours. Morrison looked around the room at military commanders, Jedi masters, and an Autobot leader, all waiting for his decision. The weight of billions of lives rested on trusting a defector from an enemy faction. Director Reynolds, Morrison addressed the CIA director, your assessment? Every instinct says this is a trap, Reynolds replied honestly. But every analysis says his data checks out. If he's lying, he's put enormous effort into making the lie verifiable. And if he's telling the truth, then we're dead without his help, Morrison finished. Optimus, can you vouch for Jetfire's character? No, Optimus admitted. I knew him before the war, but that was millions of years ago. The being he was then and the being he is now may be entirely different, but I can say this. Jetfire was always driven by principle over power. If he believes Megatron has crossed a line, his defection is consistent with who he once was. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement. It's all I can offer, Optimus replied. Trust must ultimately be earned, but sometimes circumstances force us to extend it before it's deserved. Morrison made the call. Jetfire, you're granted provisional asylum. You'll be confined to Republic Star Destroyer Resolute under Jedi supervision. You'll provide full tactical intelligence on Decepticon capabilities. And if this is deception, if you've led us into a trap, I'll personally authorize every weapon we have to be turned on you. Clear? Crystal? Jetfire confirmed. You won't regret this decision, President Morrison. Or at least, you'll regret it less than the alternative. The War Council reconvened with Jetfire's intelligence integrated into their planning. What emerged was a strategy so desperate, it barely qualified as a plan. We can't defend everywhere, Admiral Yularen stated, studying tactical displays showing Decepticon positions. They've positioned for maximum coverage. When they fire, 70% of Earth's landmass is in their targeting solution. We'd need 100 Star Destroyers to cover everything. Then we don't defend, Anakin proposed with characteristic aggression. We attack. Hit the Decepticon ships before they can fire. Preemptive strike using everything we have. They'll see us coming, Commander Cody countered. Their sensors are sophisticated. The moment Republic ships break orbit toward their positions, they'll accelerate their timeline and fire early. We'd save some cities, but lose others. What about ground-based defenses? General Webb asked. Can we deploy anti-orbital weapons? Earth's most advanced missiles can barely reach low orbit, Roland replied. Decepticon warships are positioned at Lagrange points, hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. You don't have weapons with that range and accuracy. But the Republic does, Obi-Wan observed, studying ship specifications. Your Star Destroyers have turbo-laser batteries rated for orbital bombardment and space combat. Could they reach Lagrange points? Technically, yes, Yularen confirmed, but targeting at that range requires precision beyond our sensors' capability at Earth's current technological level. We'd be firing blind and hoping for hits against stationary targets that would work eventually, against Decepticon warships that can maneuver. Wait, Dr. Chen interrupted, the NASA scientist having been granted security clearance after her heroism during the Johnson Space Center attack. You said you need precision targeting at extreme range. What if I told you we have that capability? Earth doesn't have weapons that reach Lagrange points, Webb stated. No, but we have sensors that track objects there, Chen countered. The James Webb Space Telescope, Hubble, ground-based observatories. We use them to track asteroids, satellites, deep space objects. We can detect things at Lagrange points with incredible precision. If we fed that data to Republic targeting systems, we'd have accuracy sufficient for extreme range engagement. Roland finished, processing the tactical implications. Dr. Chen, you're suggesting we turn scientific instruments into military targeting systems. I'm suggesting we use every resource available to stop planetary extinction, Chen corrected. The telescopes can provide coordinates. Republic weapons can prosecute targets. It's not ideal, but it might work. It's brilliant, Yularin stated with genuine admiration, combining Earth's astronomical observation network with Republic firepower. We couldn't do this in our galaxy. The Republic has been at war so long, we forgot how to repurpose civilian infrastructure for military applications. But you're still thinking like explorers, not just soldiers. Then we have a plan, Morrison decided. Earth provides targeting data. Republic provides firepower. Autobots and Jedi prepare for ground operations if any bombardment gets through. Jetfire provides intelligence on Decepticon vulnerabilities. We hit them in, he checked chronometers, 68 hours when they least expect preemptive action. Mr. President, Jetfire interjected carefully, there's one more thing. Megatron has a secondary plan if the orbital bombardment fails. He's positioned ground forces, Decepticon commandos and separatist special units in 20 major cities worldwide. If the orbital attack doesn't achieve extinction, the ground forces will detonate thermonuclear devices they've been assembling from stolen materials. The revelation dropped like a bomb itself. Nuclear terrorism, Reynolds breathed, on a global scale. How did we miss this? Because Decepticons can disguise themselves as human vehicles, Jetfire explained. They've been infiltrating your cities for weeks, positioning assets you couldn't detect because you were looking for aliens, not the truck parked on a street corner or the police car that's actually a Decepticon scout. How many devices? Morrison demanded. Estimated 20, yield estimated between 10 and 50 kilotons each, positioned in population centers to maximize casualties. New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, Delhi, Sao Paulo, Lagos, Cairo, Tokyo, and 11 others. If detonated simultaneously, combined casualties would exceed 2 billion with long-term radiation effects, rendering those cities uninhabitable. The number was so large it became abstract. 2 billion. More than a quarter of humanity. Can we locate the devices? Webb asked. Not with conventional sensors, Jetfire replied. Decepticons are using Cybertronian stealth technology, but I can provide frequencies that would make them detectable. You'd need to retrofit your sensors, which takes time you don't have, unless the Jedi can sense them. Obi-Wan finished. Nuclear weapons contain materials that corrupt the Force through their destructive potential. We might be able to detect them through Force meditation. Might isn't a guarantee, Mace Windu observed. It's better than nothing, Obi-Wan countered. Master Windu, if we deploy Jedi to all 20 cities and meditate on detecting dark side corruption associated with weapons of mass destruction, We'd find them, Ahsoka added, her young voice carrying certainty. I've sensed corruption before. Nuclear weapons feel like wounds in the Force. If they're there, Jedi will find them. Then we have our response plan, Morrison stated. Space battle to eliminate orbital bombardment threat. Ground operation to locate and disarm nuclear devices. Simultaneous execution in, he recalculated, 66 hours. This is our moment. We succeed or humanity ends. Questions? Just one, Admiral Yularen said. Mr. President, this operation will require committing every asset we have. Every Star Destroyer, every Jedi, every Autobot, every elite military unit on Earth. If we fail, if even one element goes wrong, there's no backup plan. We're betting human civilization on a single coordinated operation. I know, Morrison replied, and I'm making that bet because the alternative is surrendering before the battle's even fought. We go all in. We risk everything, because that's what warriors do when their homes are threatened. Any objections? Silence. Because everyone present understood the stakes and accepted them. Then prepare for Operation Extinction Protocol, Morrison ordered. That's what we're preventing, and that's what we'll call the mission that saves humanity. Dismissed. The next 60 hours were a blur of preparation that pushed every participant to their limits. Earth's astronomical facilities were militarized overnight. Dr. Chen coordinated with observatories across the world, linking Hubble, James Webb, Keck, and dozens of others into a targeting network that would provide Republic Star Destroyers with firing solutions accurate to within meters at hundreds of thousands of kilometers. This is insane, an astronomer at Keck Observatory muttered, watching his instruments designed to observe distant galaxies being repurposed to track Decepticon warships. We're using Nobel Prize-winning equipment to commit space warfare. You're using it to save civilization, Chen corrected. Future Nobel winners will thank you, if there is a future. In Earth's cities, Jedi deployed with clone escorts and local law enforcement support. Their mission? Find nuclear devices hidden by Decepticon stealth technology before the bombs could detonate. Ahsoka Tano found herself in New York City, meditating in Times Square, the same location where Obi-Wan had first made peaceful contact with humans weeks ago. Now she was searching for a weapon that could vaporize millions. Anything? Captain Rex asked, his clone training making him patient but his human-like concern making him anxious. Darkness, Ahsoka replied, her Force senses stretched across Manhattan. But New York has a lot of darkness, crime, corruption, pain. Finding one specific source is like finding a specific shadow at midnight. Then we narrow the search, Rex suggested. Jetfire said the devices need proximity to population centers, but also accessibility for Decepticon extraction if their plan changes. Major intersections, transportation hubs, landmarks, places that combine crowds with easy escape routes. Ahsoka opened her eyes. That's actually brilliant tactical thinking. You're combining Force sensitivity with military logistics. Clones are raised by Mandalorians and Jedi, Rex replied with what might have been pride. We learned from the best. Now let's find this bomb before it finds us. They narrowed their search to Penn Station. Massive crowd density, multiple exit points, underground infrastructure perfect for hiding something you didn't want found. Ahsoka descended into the station with Force senses fully extended and found it. There, she pointed to a maintenance room marked Authorized Personnel Only. The darkness is strongest there. Concentrated malevolent. That's our bomb. Rex signaled his squad. Breach and clear. Assume hostile defenses. We don't know if it's just a device or if Decepticons are guarding it. The door exploded inward under clone breaching charges. What waited inside was worse than expected. Not just a nuclear device, but a Decepticon barricade, a police car alt mode scout standing guard. "Humans!" Barricade sneered, his weapons charging. "You found one bomb, congratulations! But you can't find all 20. And the ones you miss? They'll kill everyone you're trying to save." "We don't need to find all 20, Ahsoka replied, her lightsabers igniting. "We just need to find enough that your plan fails. And Rex, take the bomb. I'll handle the Decepticon." What followed was a battle in a confined space between a Jedi Padawan and a Cybertronian warrior who outweighed her by several tons. But Ahsoka had been trained by Anakin Skywalker. Aggression was her specialty. She moved too fast for Barricade to track, her lightsabers finding gaps in his armor that Cybertronian weapons couldn't exploit. Her force-enhanced jumps let her attack from angles that shouldn't have been possible. And her absolute refusal to quit meant that even when Barricade landed hits that would have killed a normal being, she kept fighting. "You're impressive for an organic," Barricade admitted, his chassis smoking from lightsaber strikes. "But you can't win. I'm Cybertronian, you're flesh. The outcome is inevitable." "Flesh that refuses to lose," Ahsoka shot back, and drove both lightsabers through Barricade's central processor. "Always beats metal that thought victory was guaranteed." Barricade collapsed, his spark extinguishing. The bomb was secured. 1 down, 19 to go. Similar scenes played across the world. Jedi finding devices, clone troopers securing them, Decepticon guards being eliminated or driven off. It wasn't clean, it wasn't perfect, but it was working. 16 bombs located and disarmed, 4 still hidden. But with every hour, the odds improved. In orbit, the Republic fleet prepared for the space battle that would determine Earth's survival. The 6 Venator-class star destroyers, Resolute, Endurance, Negotiator, Defender, Redeemer, and Vigilance, positioned themselves with geometric precision that made astrophysicists appreciate the beauty of military formation. Each ship's targeting systems were linked to Earth's astronomical network. Each captain had firing solutions updated in real time. Each crew member understood they were about to attempt something that had never been done. Engaging enemies at extreme range using civilian sensors for targeting. "This is Admiral Yularen to all ships," the fleet commander broadcast. "In approximately 30 minutes, we will initiate preemptive strikes against Decepticon vessels positioned to conduct orbital bombardment of Earth. Our success is not guaranteed. Our tactics are unconventional, but our purpose is clear. We protect this world and its inhabitants. The Republic stands for freedom. Today, we prove those aren't just words. All ships confirm ready status." 6 confirmations came back instantly. The fleet was ready. On the bridge of the Resolute, Jetfire worked with Republic gunnery officers to provide the final tactical details. Decepticon shields regenerate every 12 seconds, Jetfire explained, highlighting vulnerable windows on tactical displays. "Fire during regeneration cycles and you'll waste shots on shields. But if you time your salvos to hit immediately after regeneration completes, before the shields can build to full strength, you'll achieve maximum penetration. That requires precision timing to microseconds," a gunnery officer observed. "Which is why I'm providing exact shield cycle frequencies for every Decepticon vessel," Jetfire replied. "You have the data. Use it wisely." "Why are you helping us?" the officer asked what everyone wondered. "You're Decepticon. This is treason to everything you've been for millions of years." Jetfire looked at the human with optics that had seen civilizations rise and fall. "Because I'm tired of watching Megatron destroy everything in pursuit of power that's never enough. Because I remember when Decepticons fought for freedom, not domination. Because even machines can have principles, and mine say exterminating innocent species is wrong. Is that sufficient answer, or would you prefer philosophical dissertation? It's sufficient, the officer replied. Thank you, Jetfire, for choosing the right side. Thank me when we win, Jetfire corrected. Until then, I'm just a traitor hoping I backed the winners. The countdown reached 0. All ships, Yularen commanded, commence firing. 6 Venator-class Star Destroyers opened fire simultaneously with their turbo-laser batteries. The weapons, designed for ship-to-ship combat at relatively close range, were pushed far beyond their normal operational parameters, targeting enemies hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. Relying on Earth's civilian astronomical network for accuracy, timing shots to exploit Decepticon shield vulnerabilities that had been revealed by a defector. It shouldn't have worked, but it did. The first salvo struck 3 Decepticon warships during their shield regeneration cycles. The turbo-laser bolts, each carrying energy equivalent to nuclear detonation, punched through weakened shields and melted through Cybertronian armor that had withstood millions of years of warfare. 3 Decepticon vessels detonated, their reactors going critical and creating explosions visible from Earth's surface. Direct hits on targets Alpha, Delta, and Gamma, a tactical officer reported with disbelief. Enemy vessels destroyed, 17 remaining. Reload and fire, Yularen commanded. Don't give them time to respond. But the Decepticons were responding. Megatron's voice boomed across communication channels, his fury making even Republic veterans flinch. Prime, you dare strike first? You claim moral superiority and then attack without declaration? I'll glass your precious Earth for this treachery. It's not treachery when you're preventing genocide, Optimus Prime replied, his transmission cutting across Megatron's rage. You positioned for planetary bombardment. We responded appropriately. Stand down now, and no more Decepticons need to die. Continue, and we'll eliminate every ship you've positioned. You don't have the firepower, Megatron roared. 6 ships against 17? Your mathematics are as flawed as your principles. Then let's test that math, Anakin Skywalker's voice added, the Jedi General having assumed tactical command of the negotiator. All ships, second salvo, on my mark. Targeting solutions, updated courtesy of Earth's astronomical network. Firing, now. Another 6 turbo-laser salvos. Another 3 Decepticon ships destroyed. The odds were shifting. Impossible, Starscream's panicked voice cut across Decepticon communications. They're targeting our shield vulnerabilities. Someone's betrayed us. Someone's given them our defensive frequencies. Jetfire, Megatron realized, his voice carrying fury that transcended species. That ancient fool has turned traitor. All ships, randomize your shield frequencies. Make targeting impossible. But randomizing shield frequencies took time. Time the Republic wasn't giving them. Salvo after salvo, Earth's telescopes providing targeting data, Jetfire providing tactical intelligence, Republic gunnery crews executing with precision born from 3 years of galactic warfare. The Decepticon fleet was being systematically dismantled. 10 ships remaining, then 7, then 4. All vessels retreat, Megatron commanded, acknowledging tactical defeat. Fall back to designated rally points. We'll return when... His transmission cut off as the Resolute's concentrated fire struck his flagship directly. Megatron's vessel, a dreadnought that had survived countless battles, shuddered under the assault. Its shields failed. Its armor melted, but it didn't explode. Because Megatron ejected at the last possible moment,
transforming to jet mode and rocketing away from the dying ship while his crew perished in the explosion. "Coward," Optimus muttered, watching his ancient enemy.
"Flee. You'll sacrifice anyone to preserve yourself." The space battle was over. 20 Decepticon warships reduced to scattered debris. The orbital bombardment threat was eliminated. But on Earth's surface, 4 nuclear devices were still hidden. 4 weapons that could still kill millions. And the Decepticons guarding them had just received word that their orbital support was gone. Their plan was exposed, and they had one option remaining: detonate immediately and take as many humans with them as possible. The race was on to find the last 4 bombs before Decepticon desperation turned into nuclear holocaust. Beijing, London, Mumbai, São Paulo. 4 cities, 4 nuclear devices still hidden. 4 Decepticons willing to detonate them rather than accept defeat. And less than 30 minutes before Megatron's retreat order would trigger the failsafe protocols that would turn those cities into radioactive craters. In Beijing, Mace Windu stood in the heart of Tiananmen Square, with his eyes closed and his connection to the Force stretched to its limits. Around him, Chinese special forces and clone troopers from the Coruscant Guard established perimeters, but the Jedi Master barely noticed. His entire focus was on sensing the darkness hidden somewhere in a city of 22 million people. "Master Windu," Commander Fox reported, his clone armor bearing the distinctive red markings of the Guard. "We've evacuated a 2-kilometer radius around suspected locations based on Jetfire's intelligence. But sir, if that bomb detonates..." "It won't," Mace stated with certainty he didn't entirely feel. "I will find it. The Force will guide me." But the Force was showing him too much. Beijing carried layers of darkness accumulated over millennia. Ancient dynasties, modern corruption, the weight of countless lives lived in desperation. Finding one specific source of malevolence was like finding a specific grain of sand on an endless beach. "Focus?" Mace muttered to himself. "Nuclear weapons carry unique signatures, not just darkness, but wrongness. They pervert the natural order. He felt it. A wound in the Force that pulsed with unnatural energy. Not human corruption or political darkness, but something mechanical and alien that didn't belong in Earth's natural flow. There, Mace pointed toward the Beijing National Stadium, the bird's nest site of the 2008 Olympics. Underground, beneath the main structure, that's where your bomb is hidden. Fox didn't question. He'd learned that when Jedi Masters spoke with certainty, you listened. All units converge on the stadium. Breach teams prepare for hostile contact. They descended into the stadium's maintenance tunnels, with weapons raised and expectations grim. What they found was Soundwave, Megatron's communications specialist and one of the Decepticons' most dangerous operatives. The mechanical being stood before a device that made nuclear engineers weep. A 50-kiloton fusion bomb, cobbled together from stolen materials and Cybertronian technology with a timer counting down. 18 minutes remaining. "Jedi Master Windu," Soundwave stated in his characteristic monotone. "Prediction: you will attempt to disarm the device. Probability of success: 0. Device is booby-trapped with Cybertronian technology you cannot comprehend. Any tampering triggers immediate detonation. Then we'll defeat you and force you to disarm it," Mace replied, his lightsaber igniting with purple plasma that cast eerie shadows in the tunnel. "Incorrect assumption," Soundwave corrected. "I am not the key. Device is on automatic. Countdown. My death changes nothing. Beijing will burn regardless of your actions." "Then why are you still here?" Commander Fox demanded, his DC-15 trained on the Decepticon. If you can't stop it, why stay? To ensure you do not attempt disarmament, Soundwave replied logically. My purpose, guarantee detonation through preventing interference. Mace felt the truth of it through the Force. Soundwave wasn't bluffing. The device was genuinely on automatic countdown, and tampering would trigger early detonation. But there was something else. Something Soundwave's monotone delivery couldn't completely hide. You don't want to do this, Mace observed, sensing conflict beneath the Decepticon's mechanical exterior. You're following orders you disagree with. I can feel your hesitation. Irrelevant, Soundwave stated, but his response came microseconds slower than usual. Decepticons follow commands. Personal preference does not override operational parameters. You're not a machine, Mace pressed, lowering his lightsaber slightly. You're a living being making choices. Choose differently. Help us disarm this weapon. Show that Decepticons can be more than Megatron's slaves. For 3 seconds, an eternity for a being who processed information at computer speeds, Soundwave was silent. His optical sensors dimmed and brightened as he calculated probabilities, assessed loyalties, and confronted a decision that would define him. If I assist disarmament, Soundwave finally stated, I become traitor like Jetfire. Megatron will hunt me for millions of years. My existence becomes perpetual fugitive status. Better a fugitive with principles than a loyal soldier complicit in genocide, Mace replied. You have 15 minutes to decide. After that, the choice is made for you, and 22 million people die. What kind of being do you want to be, Soundwave? A tool that follows orders, or a person who makes choices? 12 minutes on the timer. Soundwave's processors ran calculations that explored thousands of potential futures, each one branching from the decision he made in this moment. Then he moved, not to defend the bomb, but to access it. Device disarmament procedure, Soundwave stated, his appendages interfacing with the weapon's control systems. Step 1, disable primary trigger. Step 2, vent fusion material through emergency release valves. Step 3, separate conventional explosive from nuclear components. Estimated time, 8 minutes. Margin for error, none. Mace watched the Decepticon work with precision that spoke to millions of years of technological expertise. Around them, clone troopers and Chinese special forces maintained defensive positions, expecting Decepticon reinforcements to arrive any moment. Why? Commander Fox asked Soundwave while he worked. Why turn against your own side? Clarification. I turn against Megatron's current orders, not Decepticon principles, Soundwave replied, while his manipulators performed operations too complex for human observation. Original Decepticon philosophy, freedom from oppression. Current Decepticon practice, become oppressor. The contradiction is illogical. I choose original philosophy. 8 minutes became 6. 6 became 4. The bomb's timer counted down in synchronization with Soundwave's disarmament procedure, a race between destruction and salvation measured in microseconds. Final step, Soundwave announced, separating fusion core from detonation mechanism. If this fails, we all die. If it succeeds, Beijing survives. Probability of success, 63%. I'll take those odds, Mace stated, using the Force to steady Soundwave's manipulators at the critical moment. The combination of Jedi telekinesis and Cybertronian precision achieved what neither could accomplish alone. The fusion core separated cleanly. The timer stopped at 47 seconds. Beijing was saved. You chose well, Mace told Soundwave, his lightsaber deactivating. The Force recognizes beings who choose light over darkness, regardless of their origin. You'll always have sanctuary with those who value such choices. Acknowledged, Soundwave replied, though his tone suggested he didn't fully understand the concept of force-based morality. Where do traitors go when their original faction wants them dead? They go where Jetfire is, Commander Fox suggested, under Republic protection, fighting for something better than what they left behind. Welcome to the good guys, Soundwave. The benefits aren't great, but the moral clarity is worth it. 1 city saved, 3 to go. In London, Obi-Wan Kenobi faced a very different challenge. The Decepticon guarding London's nuclear device wasn't conflicted like Soundwave, wasn't philosophical like Jetfire. Barricade's twin brother, Bone Crusher, was pure aggression given mechanical form, and he'd positioned the bomb in the London Underground with specific intent to maximize casualties. "You want the bomb, Jedi?" Bone Crusher taunted from his position in the Piccadilly Circus station. "Come and take it, but you'll trigger every trap I've set. Detonators on the support columns, charges in the tunnels. I've turned this entire station into a kill zone. One wrong step and I bring the Underground down on everyone in it. Thousands dead before the bomb even detonates." Obi-Wan studied the situation with Jedi calm that came from decades of impossible scenarios. Clone troopers from the 212th Battalion surrounded the station at ground level, but they couldn't enter without triggering Bone Crusher's traps. British SAS forces had evacuated nearby areas, but thousands of Londoners were still trapped underground, held hostage by a Decepticon who had nothing to lose. "Commander Cody," Obi-Wan transmitted quietly, "I'm going in alone. If the situation deteriorates, evacuate everyone and let the bomb detonate. Better to lose one station than risk thousands in a failed rescue." "Sir, that's suicide," Cody protested. "Let us provide support. Combined arms doctrine won't work here," Obi-Wan interrupted gently. "This requires precision, not firepower. Trust me, Commander, I've done this before." He descended into the Underground alone, his lightsaber extinguished, moving through trapped corridors with force senses extended to detect every explosive, every tripwire, every threat Bone Crusher had positioned. "Brave or stupid," Bone Crusher called from deeper in the station, walking into a trap alone. "I expected better from the famous Obi-Wan Kenobi." "I'm not here to fight," Obi-Wan replied calmly, continuing his careful approach. "I'm here to offer you the same choice Soundwave received in Beijing. Surrender the device and receive asylum, or die defending a cause that's already lost." "Lost?" Bone Crusher laughed, the sound echoing through empty tunnels. "Megatron retreats to fight another day. The Decepticons are immortal. We don't lose, we adapt. And when we return, Earth will remember what happens to those who oppose us." "Perhaps," Obi-Wan acknowledged, detecting a tripwire and stepping carefully over it. "But you personally won't see that return. You'll die here in this tunnel, a footnote in a war that's already moved past you. Is that really the ending you want?" "Death in service to Megatron is honor," Bone Crusher stated, but his tone suggested he was trying to convince himself as much as Obi-Wan. "Is it?" Obi-Wan pressed, using his most diplomatic voice, the one that had negotiated peace treaties across the galaxy. "Or is it waste? You're a warrior, Bone Crusher. I can sense that. Warriors deserve to die in battle, not as suicide bombers killing innocents. Megatron is using you as a disposable tool. Is that the legacy you want?" The Decepticon was silent for a long moment. Then, "You're trying to manipulate me, using psychology like I'm some primitive organic who responds to emotional appeals." "I'm trying to show you that there are options beyond the ones Megatron programmed into you," Obi-Wan corrected, still moving deeper into the trapped station. "You were built for war, but you choose how you wage it, honorably or dishonorably, as a warrior or as a terrorist. That's always been your choice, Bone Crusher. Megatron just convinced you it wasn't. Another silence. Longer this time. Obi-Wan could feel through the Force that the Decepticon was genuinely considering the argument, not because he agreed, but because no one had ever framed his choices that way before. "If I surrender," Bone Crusher finally said, "what happens to me?" "Asylum under Republic jurisdiction," Obi-Wan replied. "You'd be monitored, restricted, but alive and able to choose your own path forward. It's not freedom, not yet, but it's better than dying for someone who views you as expendable." "And if I refuse?" "Then I'll do what I must," Obi-Wan stated simply. "Disarm you, take the bomb, save the civilians. You'll die fighting, which is perhaps the ending you prefer, but you'll die having accomplished nothing. The choice is yours." Bone Crusher's processors ran calculations that weighed honor against survival, loyalty against self-preservation, duty against doubt. The math was complex. The variables were infinite. The answer was, "I surrender," Bone Crusher stated, and Obi-Wan felt genuine surprise through the Force. "Not because I believe your philosophy, but because dying for a leader who retreated and left me here to cover his escape isn't the warrior's death I deserve." "You're right about that much, Jedi. That's more wisdom than most beings achieve in their entire lives," Obi-Wan replied, finally allowing himself a small smile. "Now, about that bomb." "Already disarming it," Bone Crusher interrupted, his mechanical expertise handling in minutes what would have taken human engineers hours. "And Jedi, I'm still Decepticon. I still believe Megatron's core philosophy about the strong ruling the weak. I'm just choosing to survive long enough to see if he still embodies that philosophy when he returns. If he does, we're enemies again. Clear?" "Perfectly clear," Obi-Wan confirmed. "I wouldn't trust you otherwise. Honest enemies are more valuable than false friends." 2 cities saved. 2 to go. In Mumbai, Anakin Skywalker had no patience for philosophical debate. The Decepticon guarding Mumbai's bomb, Brawl, a tank-mode warrior who valued firepower over finesse, had positioned himself in the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus train station and was threatening to detonate immediately if Republic forces approached. "I don't care about asylum," Brawl roared through external speakers. "I don't care about choices. I care about following Megatron's orders." And his orders were, "If the plan fails, take as many enemies with you as possible. So come ahead, Jedi. Try to stop me. I'll blow this bomb the moment you get close enough." Anakin assessed the situation from a rooftop 300 meters away. The station was packed with civilians who hadn't evacuated in time. The bomb was visible through infrared sensors, positioned in Brawl's chassis, integrated so thoroughly that separating them would require killing the Decepticon first. And Brawl had his appendage on the detonator, ready to trigger at the slightest provocation. "This is Skywalker to Captain Rex," Anakin transmitted. "I need a distraction. Something big enough to make Brawl focus on it instead of the bomb. Can you provide?" "Define big, sir," Rex replied carefully. "How about a full battalion assault from 3 directions simultaneously?" Anakin suggested. "Make it look like we're trying to overwhelm him through force. While he's focused on defending against clones, I'll come from above and disable him before he can detonate." "Sir, that's extremely risky. If Brawl suspects the frontal assault is a diversion, then we make it look real," Anakin interrupted. "Rex, trust me, I've pulled off crazier operations. This one might actually work." Rex sighed. Clones weren't supposed to sigh, but years of serving under Anakin had taught him the futility of arguing. 501st is moving into position. Give us 2 minutes." Anakin used those 2 minutes to position himself directly above Brawl's location on an adjacent building. He could feel the dark side energy radiating from the nuclear device, could sense Brawl's aggressive determination, could perceive the thousands of terrified civilians praying for rescue. No pressure, Anakin muttered to himself. Just save an entire city while fighting a giant robot with a nuclear bomb strapped to his chest. Standard Tuesday. The assault began exactly on schedule. Clone troopers from 3 directions simultaneously opened fire on Brawl's position with coordinated precision that looked like genuine attack. Blaster bolts sparked off the Decepticon's heavy armor. Thermal detonators forced him to reposition. And Brawl, true to his aggressive nature, responded exactly as Anakin predicted, by forgetting about the detonator and focusing on killing the attackers. Foolish organics, Brawl roared, his tank cannon swiveling to target clone positions. You think you can overwhelm a Decepticon warrior? I'll crush every one of... Anakin dropped from the building above like a vengeful god. His lightsaber ignited and aimed with precision, learned from years of Jedi training. The blue blade struck exactly where it needed to, the connection point between Brawl's arm and the detonator mechanism. The appendage severed cleanly. The detonator fell away from Brawl's control, and Anakin landed on the Decepticon's chassis, with the Force cushioning his impact. Impossible, Brawl screamed, trying to shake off the Jedi. How did you... I'm not just fast, Anakin interrupted, his lightsaber carving through armor to reach the bomb's control systems. I'm lucky, and luck always beats planning when it matters. He didn't have time for proper disarmament, didn't have technical knowledge to safely separate fusion cores and detonation mechanisms. But what Anakin did have was the Force and absolute confidence in his abilities. He reached into the bomb's systems through the Force, feeling the energy flows, sensing the connections, understanding the device not through engineering but through intuition that transcended knowledge. And he did something only Force users could attempt. He used telekinesis to physically separate the bomb's components at the molecular level, preventing chain reactions through sheer willpower. The bomb didn't disarm, it disassembled, piece by piece, component by component, until what had been a 50-kiloton nuclear weapon was scattered harmless parts spread across the station floor. That's not possible, Brawl stated flatly. Nuclear weapons don't work that way. You can't just... I didn't ask the weapon's permission, Anakin replied, exhaustion clear in his voice. I told it how it was going to work. Big difference. Rex approached with clone. Medics, knowing Anakin, would have pushed himself beyond safe limits. Sir, that was the most reckless, irresponsible, tactically unsound operation I've ever witnessed. But it worked, Anakin pointed out. But it worked, Rex agreed with resignation. The 501st is learning to expect nothing less. 3 cities saved, 1 to go. In Sao Paulo, Ahsoka Tano faced the final nuclear device with growing dread. The Decepticon guarding it, Blackout, a massive helicopter-mode warrior, had positioned the bomb in the Congonhas airport and wasn't interested in surrender, negotiation, or philosophy. He was a soldier following orders to their logical conclusion. If I can't win, I'll take the enemy with me. Padawan Tano, Blackout addressed her through external speakers as she approached the airport cautiously. I know who you are. I've studied Jedi. You value life. You'll hesitate to kill me because it violates your principles. That hesitation will cost you this city. Ahsoka felt fear, genuine fear, because Blackout was right. She wasn't a ruthless killer like Anakin could be. She wasn't a military tactician like Obi-Wan. She was a young Jedi, still learning to balance compassion with necessity. I do value life, Ahsoka confirmed, her lightsabers ignited but lowered, including yours. Surrender and no one needs to die. Decepticons don't surrender, Blackout stated, We fight until termination or victory. There is no middle ground. Then you'll die, Ahsoka said sadly, and I'll have to be the one who kills you, and I'll carry that weight for the rest of my life. Is that really what you want your legacy to be? Making a child learn how to kill? The words struck something in Blackout's programming. Not compassion. Decepticons weren't built for that. But recognition that this opponent was different from the hardened warriors he usually fought. You're young, Blackout observed. Too young for war. Why is a child soldier facing me? Because the Jedi taught me that age doesn't determine duty, Ahsoka replied. I'm here because I'm capable, because people need protection, because someone has to stand between evil and the innocent, even if that someone is 16 years old and scared. You admit fear? Fear is natural, Ahsoka stated, remembering her master's teachings. Acting despite fear is courage. I'm terrified right now, Blackout, but I'm still here, still trying to save this city, still hoping you'll choose differently. Blackout's optical sensors dimmed slightly, a Cybertronian expression of contemplation. If I surrender, I become what Megatron hates most, a coward who valued survival over duty. Or you become something better, Ahsoka countered, a warrior who valued life over blind obedience, who chose his own path instead of following programming. That's not cowardice, that's evolution. The Decepticon was silent for so long that Ahsoka thought she'd failed. Then Blackout's weapons powered down. I don't believe your philosophy, Blackout stated carefully, but I believe you believe it, and that sincerity deserves acknowledgement. I surrender. Disarm the device. Save your city. But know that I do this not because I agree with you, but because I respect your conviction enough to test whether it has merit. Ahsoka felt tears of relief, tears she didn't try to hide. Thank you, that's all I ask. A chance to prove that compassion isn't weakness. We'll see, Blackout replied, and began disarming the nuclear device with the same precision Soundwave had demonstrated in Beijing. 4 cities, 4 bombs, 4 Decepticons who chose differently than their programming demanded, and across Earth, billions of people who would never know how close they'd come to extinction breathed easier as news spread. The nuclear threat was eliminated. In the White House Situation Room, President Morrison addressed a planet that had just survived its worst day. Citizens of Earth, Morrison began, his face showing exhaustion that comes from bearing impossible burdens. Today we faced extinction. Today we survived. Not through luck, not through accident, but through the courage of warriors from multiple worlds who chose to stand together against those who would destroy us. He paused, letting the weight settle. Jedi Masters found nuclear weapons hidden in our cities. Clone troopers fought to protect civilians they'd never met. Autobots held defensive lines against overwhelming odds. And even Decepticons, beings we considered enemies, chose principle over programming and helped save millions of lives. This war isn't over. Our enemies will return. But today proved something important. When beings of goodwill unite, regardless of their origin, their species, or their past, they can accomplish the impossible. Earth stands because we chose to stand together. Remember that, honor it, and prepare for what comes next. The transmission ended, but the sentiment endured. Humanity had survived its trial by fire and emerged tempered into something stronger. The aftermath of Operation Extinction Protocol brought changes to Earth that would have seemed impossible months ago. In Geneva, Republic engineers worked alongside Earth scientists to rebuild the city that had nearly become a plague grave. Bacta technology, medical advancement that seemed like magic to human doctors, restored victims who should have died from organ liquefaction. Clone medical teams trained Swiss personnel in techniques that would revolutionize Earth's healthcare, and in the center of the reconstructed city, a monument rose, 7 meters of polished marble carved with names of the 20,000 who died before Jedi healing could save them. "We remember the fallen," Master Luminara Unduli stated at the monument's dedication, her body still recovering from the force exertion that had saved 180,000 lives. Not as statistics, not as casualties of war, but as individuals whose sacrifice gave their civilization hope. Earth will endure because they did not. But not everyone viewed the Republic's presence as salvation. In the UN General Assembly, a growing coalition of nations led by Brazil and Indonesia raised concerns that would define Earth's political future. "We're becoming dependent," Brazil's ambassador argued, his voice carrying frustration that resonated across developing nations. "Every crisis we call the Republic. Every threat we deploy Jedi. Our own militaries are becoming auxiliary forces to alien command structures. What happens when the Republic leaves? When the Autobots return to their galaxy? Are we capable of defending ourselves, or have we traded independence for protection?" The alternative was extinction, China's ambassador countered bluntly. 4 nuclear devices, orbital bombardment, biological weapons. Earth's technology couldn't counter any of those threats. The Republic could. "I'll take dependence over annihilation." "That's a false choice," India's representative interjected. "Dependence or death." "What about a third option? Partnership that transfers knowledge, not just protection? The Republic has shared weapons technology. Why not industrial capabilities, educational systems, scientific methodologies? If they truly view us as equals, they should be elevating our civilization to match theirs, not just defending us while we remain primitive. The argument reached President Morrison during a private meeting with Admiral Yularen and Optimus Prime. The question was direct and uncomfortable. What happens next? The Republic cannot remain on Earth indefinitely, Yularen stated honestly, his hologram projecting diplomatic discomfort. "We have a galaxy at war, resources stretched across thousands of systems. Our presence here has already drawn assets away from worlds that need them. Eventually, we must return to our own conflicts." "And the Autobots?" Morrison asked Optimus. The massive Autobot leader was quiet for a moment, his ancient optics reflecting millions of years of similar conversations on countless worlds. "The Autobots have been refugees before. We've lived among species that weren't our own. If Earth would have us, if humanity accepts our permanent presence, we could remain. Protect this world as we've protected others. But only if that's what you want, Mr. President. We won't impose ourselves on a civilization that views us as occupiers." "That's the question everyone's dancing around," Morrison observed. "Are you occupiers or allies? Protectors or colonizers? Even I don't know the answer, and I'm the one who authorized your presence." "Perhaps," Obi-Wan Kenobi suggested, having joined the meeting, "the answer isn't binary. The Republic could establish an exchange program, Jedi training facilities on Earth where your force-sensitive individuals, yes, you have them, could learn to use their abilities. Clone advisors embedded with your militaries to transfer tactical knowledge. Republic universities offering education to Earth's brightest minds. Not occupation, not abandonment, something in between." "And in return," Morrison pressed, "Earth becomes the Republic's anchor in this dimension," Obi-Wan replied. "A bridge between our galaxy and yours. When, not if, when, we find ways to reliably traverse dimensional barriers, Earth could be the crossroads for cultural and economic exchange that benefits both civilizations." Morrison looked at his advisors, military leaders, intelligence directors, scientific experts, and saw in their faces the same uncertainty he felt. The decision he made in this room would define humanity's relationship with galactic civilization for generations. Provisional agreement, Morrison decided. Republic presence remains for 1 year, Earth calendar. During that time, we implement the exchange programs Obi-Wan described. We assess whether the partnership genuinely elevates Earth or just creates comfortable dependence. After 1 year, both sides reevaluate. Either we extend the arrangement, modify it, or respectfully part ways. Does that work for everyone? The Republic can commit to those terms, Yularen confirmed. The Autobots find them acceptable, Optimus agreed. Then we have a framework, Morrison stated. Now, about the immediate problem. The Separatists and Decepticons are still out there, defeated but not destroyed. What's our next move? The question was answered by someone unexpected. Roland, the Republic AI, who'd been quietly monitoring communications across Earth and beyond. Actually, Mr. President, Roland's avatar appeared with unusual urgency. The Separatists have made the next move for us. I'm detecting a transmission from Count Dooku. It's being broadcast on every frequency, military, civilian, entertainment. He wants everyone to hear this. The holographic display shifted, showing Count Dooku in his characteristic aristocratic bearing. But something was different. His expression carried weariness that hadn't been there before. His voice, when he spoke, lacked its usual contempt. People of Earth, Dooku began, his cultured accent making even defeat sound dignified. I am Count Dooku of Sereno, leader of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. What you call the Separatists. I address you now, not as conqueror, not as enemy, but as someone who has learned uncomfortable truths. He paused, and in that pause was recognition of failure. The Confederacy came to your world seeking resources to continue our war against the Republic. We viewed Earth as primitive, exploitable, beneath consideration as anything other than strategic asset. We deployed weapons of mass destruction. We attempted genocide. We allied with beings, the Decepticons, who share our worst impulses. And you defeated us, Dooku continued, something almost like respect entering his voice. Not through superior technology, not through greater numbers, but through something the Separatists forgot in our pursuit of independence, unity of purpose. The Republic and Earth, despite vast differences, found common cause. Jedi fought beside clone soldiers, beside human warriors, beside Autobot defenders. You created an alliance that transcended species, transcended origin, transcended the very logical calculations that suggested you should fail. Obi-Wan leaned forward, studying his old friend and enemy with Jedi perception. He's sincere. This isn't manipulation. Dooku has genuinely been affected by Earth's resistance. I propose a cessation of hostilities, Dooku stated, the words clearly difficult for him to speak. The Separatist forces will withdraw from Earth entirely. We will not return. In exchange, the Republic agrees not to pursue our retreating vessels. This world has suffered enough because of our conflict. It deserves the opportunity to chart its own path without being battleground for someone else's civil war. It's a trap, General Webb stated immediately. Has to be. Dooku doesn't surrender. This is buying time for something worse. I don't think so, Anakin interjected, surprising everyone. I fought Dooku on Geonosis, again on various battlefields across the Clone Wars. He's arrogant and ruthless, but he's not without honor. If he's offering withdrawal, he means it, Mace Windu confirmed, his Force senses detecting truth beneath Dooku's words. But there's more. Something he's not saying. As if responding to the Jedi's observation, Dooku's expression shifted to something darker. However, Dooku continued, his tone hardening, I am not the Confederacy's only leader. There are those among the Separatist Council who view my proposal as weakness, who believe Earth should be punished for resisting, who have made arrangements with forces even I find distasteful. The holographic display changed, showing a facility Obi-Wan recognized immediately. The planet Mustafar, a hellish world of lava and volcanic activity that the Separatists used as a secret base. General Grievous has seized control of Separatist forces, opposed to my withdrawal, Dooku explained grimly. He's allied with the remaining Decepticons, Megatron's most loyal warriors, and they're planning a final assault on Earth, not for resources, not for strategic advantage, for revenge. They intend to demonstrate that resistance against superior forces results only in annihilation. When? Morrison demanded. 72 hours, Dooku replied. Grievous is assembling every droid battalion he can muster, every warship still operational, every weapon the Separatists have developed over 3 years of galactic warfare, and Megatron is providing Decepticon heavy assault units, combiners, seekers, warriors who view Earth as the enemy that humiliated them. Mr. President, what's coming is not another test. It's a final battle designed to break humanity's will to resist. Why are you telling us this? Obi-Wan asked his former apprentice. You could have remained silent. Let Grievous attack. The Separatists would still achieve Earth's defeat. Because I'm tired, Obi-Wan, Dooku admitted, and for the first time in years, the man beneath the Sith persona showed through. Tired of war, tired of destruction, tired of serving a master. He caught himself before saying Sidious's name, who values power over principle. Earth reminded me that there are things worth fighting for beyond victory. Perhaps it's time the Separatists remembered that too. The transmission ended, leaving Morrison's War Council in stunned silence. Could be accurate intelligence, CIA Director Reynolds finally said. Or could be psychological warfare designed to make us panic and overcommit forces. It's accurate, Jetfire confirmed, the Decepticon defector having been monitoring transmissions from his former faction. I'm detecting massive Decepticon mobilization, combiners coming out of storage, warriors being recalled from deep space assignments. This is Megatron assembling everything for one final push. Then we prepare accordingly, Morrison decided. Admiral Yularen, what's the Republic's maximum deployable force to Earth within 72 hours? Everything we have in this dimension, Yularen replied grimly. 6 Venators, 23 support frigates, 40,000 clone troopers, every Jedi we can spare. It's not enough to fight the entire Separatist war machine if Grievous commits fully, but it's what we can field. Autobots? Morrison looked to Optimus. 47 operational units, Optimus reported, reinforced by however many Decepticons choose to follow Jetfire's and Soundwave's example. We've been broadcasting appeals for defection. Some are considering it. Earth forces? Morrison turned to General Webb. Every military on the planet is at maximum alert, Webb stated. We've deployed Republic weapons to our elite units, integrated clone tactical advisors into command structures, positioned anti-orbital defenses around major cities. Sir, we're as ready as we can be for an enemy that outmatches us, technologically. But if Grievous brings everything, then we make our stand with what we have, Morrison interrupted, because that's what warriors do. They fight with the resources available, not the resources they wish they had. He stood, addressing the assembled leadership, with words that would be quoted in history books for generations. 72 hours from now, this world faces its greatest trial, an enemy that spans galaxies, technology that makes our most advanced weapons look primitive, numbers that exceed our capacity to count. And you know what? We're going to win anyway. How can you be certain? A skeptical aide asked. Because we have something they don't, Morrison replied. We have home field advantage. This is our planet, our cities, our families. Grievous and Megatron are fighting for revenge and pride. We're fighting for survival and everything we love. That's not a tactical advantage you can measure with sensors or calculate with mathematics. But it's the difference between soldiers following orders and warriors defending home. In 72 hours, we show the galaxy what humanity is capable of when pushed to the edge. We show them that Earth doesn't surrender, doesn't break, doesn't quit. We show them that attacking our world was the biggest mistake they ever made. Now let's get to work. The next 72 hours transformed Earth into a fortress. In major cities worldwide, evacuation procedures were tested and refined. Civilians drilled on emergency protocols. Shelters, some newly constructed with Republic assistance, were stocked with supplies that could sustain millions if urban areas became battlefields. Children practiced evacuation drills that were terrifying and necessary in equal measure. This is wrong, a mother in São Paulo said, watching her 8-year-old daughter practice hiding under desks in case of Decepticon attack. Children shouldn't have to learn this. No, they shouldn't, Ahsoka Tano agreed, having been assigned to civilian morale support. But they're learning it anyway because the alternative is worse. At least this way, if the worst happens, they'll have training that could save their lives. You're barely older than she is, the mother observed, looking at the teenage Jedi. And you're preparing for war like a veteran soldier. How is that fair? It's not, Ahsoka admitted. Nothing about war is fair, but fairness is a luxury we can't afford right now. Survival is all that matters. After we win, and we will win, then we can worry about building a world where children don't need to learn combat drills. Military preparations were equally intensive. In Nevada, U.S. Air Force pilots trained in captured separatist fighters, learning to fly alien spacecraft with assistance from clone instructors who'd spent 3 years fighting in space. This is insane, a F-22 pilot muttered, struggling with controls designed for beings with different neurological architecture. These things don't fly like anything I've trained for. Because they're not aircraft, his clone instructor, a pilot designated oddball, explained patiently. They're spacecraft designed for vacuum operations that happen to function in atmosphere. Stop thinking like jet pilot. Think like astronaut who occasionally needs to maneuver through air. That makes zero sense. Welcome to Clone Wars logic, Oddball replied cheerfully. Nothing makes sense until you've done it 1,000 times. Then it becomes second nature. You'll get there. In China, People's Liberation Army mechanized units integrated with Autobot advisors, learning tactics that combine traditional armor doctrine with transforming robot capabilities. You move like you're trying to protect the tank, Ironhide observed, watching Chinese tankers maneuver during exercises. Wrong mindset. The tank is a weapon you happen to be inside. You should move like you're hunting prey, not like you're protecting yourself. That's aggressive doctrine, a Chinese tank commander objected. We're trained for defensive operations. And how'd that defensive training work when the Decepticons attacked? Ironhide challenged. You got slaughtered because you waited for them to come to you. Autobots don't wait. We hunt, we strike. We take the fight to the enemy before they're ready. That's how you survive when outnumbered and outgunned. You make sure the enemy never gets comfortable. In Brazil, special forces trained in jungle warfare with Jedi who'd fought on countless worlds with similar terrain. The jungle is your ally, Master Quinlan Voss explained, moving through dense foliage with grace that made hardened commandos look clumsy. It hides you, confuses enemy sensors, provides cover and concealment, but only if you work with it instead of fighting through it. "How do you move so quietly?" a Brazilian commando asked, watching the Jedi navigate terrain without disturbing leaves or snapping branches. "The Force guides me," Quinlan replied. "Shows me where to step, where to place weight. But you can learn similar skills through practice. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Listen to the jungle's rhythm. Move with it, not against it. Give it a few hundred hours of practice and you'll be almost as good as a Jedi." "Almost? Hey, we've had 25,000 years to perfect these techniques," Quinlan grinned. "Cut yourselves some slack." And in orbit, the Republic fleet prepared for the space battle that would determine Earth's survival. Admiral Yularen stood on the Resolute's bridge, studying tactical displays that showed separatist fleet movements. Grievous was assembling forces at a staging point just beyond the solar system's edge, far enough to avoid premature engagement, close enough to strike quickly when ready. "He's bringing everything," Yularen observed to Obi-Wan, who joined him on the bridge. 200 droid frigates, 50 capital ships, and something we haven't seen before. Oh, subjugator-class heavy cruiser. That's a ship designed to disable entire fleets through ion pulse weapons, if it gets close enough to fire. Then Earth's orbital defenses go dark and we're fighting blind. Obi-Wan finished. "Suggestions. We need to destroy that subjugator before it enters firing range," Yularen stated, "which means breaking through a screen of 200 frigates and 50 capital ships to reach one heavily defended target. The math is unfavorable." "The math usually is," Obi-Wan replied philosophically, "but we've won unfavorable battles before. The question isn't whether the odds are against us. It's whether we're willing to pay the price those odds demand." "The price will be high," Yularen warned. "We'll lose ships, lose personnel, maybe lose the battle entirely despite our best efforts. Then we make sure that if we lose having given everything," Obi-Wan stated. "The Republic stands for more than just victory, Admiral. It stands for the principle that some things are worth dying for. Earth is one of those things." On Earth's surface, in a hidden facility that had once belonged to the Separatists before its liberation, Jetfire worked with Earth engineers on a project that could shift the battle's outcome. "This is suicide," a DARPA engineer observed, watching Jetfire design specifications for a weapon that violated every safety protocol. The energy requirements alone would drain every nuclear power plant on Earth simultaneously, and that's assuming it doesn't tear a hole in space-time that swallows the planet. "It's a directed energy pulse weapon scaled to planetary defense," Jetfire explained patiently. "Based on Republic point defense technology, enhanced with Cybertronian power generation, and linked to Earth's entire electrical grid. One shot, maximum yield, enough to disable that subjugator-class heavy cruiser if we can hit it precisely." "If we can hit it," the engineer emphasized. "If the targeting is off by even a degree at that range, we waste the shot. If the power draw destabilizes the grid, we black out the entire planet. If the weapon malfunctions, then billions die when Grievous wins," Jetfire interrupted, "versus billions who might die if our desperate countermeasure fails. Pick your preferred apocalypse, human. I'm trying to give you an option that isn't guaranteed extinction." "Why are you doing this?" the engineer asked, studying the Decepticon who'd betrayed his faction to help strangers. "What do you get from saving Earth?" "Redemption," Jetfire replied simply. I've built weapons that destroyed cities, enabled atrocities I regret. If I can build something that saves a civilization instead of destroying one, maybe that balances the scales slightly. Maybe not, but I have to try. As the countdown reached its final hours, unexpected reinforcements arrived. Count Dooku's personal ship descended to Earth's surface and requested landing clearance at Geneva, the city his biological weapon had nearly destroyed. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. This is either a trap or the most brazen diplomatic gesture I've ever witnessed, Morrison observed, watching the landing through secured feeds. He lands in the city he tried to exterminate. It's a statement, Obi-Wan interpreted. Dooku is showing he's serious about withdrawal by putting himself at the mercy of people who have every reason to kill him. It's calculated risk, but it's genuine. The Sith Lord, former Jedi Master, emerged from his ship flanked by Magna Guards but with weapons powered down. He approached the delegation of Republic Jedi, Earth leadership, and Autobot representatives with aristocratic bearing that somehow avoided arrogance. Gentlemen, Dooku greeted, I come to offer more than intelligence. I offer military support, separatist forces loyal to my command, approximately 30% of the total, will fight alongside you against Grievous, not as allies. Let's not pretend friendship where none exists, but as beings who recognize that Grievous's revenge campaign serves no strategic purpose and violates principles even the separatists claim to value. You'll fight your own side? Morrison asked, skepticism clear. I'll fight the faction that's abandoned reason for rage, Dooku corrected. Grievous no longer represents separatist independence. He represents destruction for its own sake. That's not a philosophy I can support, regardless of our other conflicts. And after the battle, Mace Windu asked his former colleague, assuming we survive, what then? Then I withdraw as promised, Dooku stated. Return to our galaxy. Continue our war against the Republic on other fronts. But Earth will be off limits. You have my word. The word of a Sith Lord, Anakin said with barely concealed contempt. Forgive me if that doesn't inspire confidence. I'm not asking you to trust me, Skywalker, Dooku replied, meeting Anakin's glare with calm that came from decades of political maneuvering. I'm asking you to accept temporary cooperation against a mutual enemy. Trust can come later, or not. But right now, you need every ship, every soldier, every tactical advantage you can acquire. I'm offering 30 capital ships and 50,000 battle droids, programmed to follow my commands instead of Grievous's. Turn me away if you wish, but don't pretend it's anything other than pride that makes you refuse. Morrison looked at Obi-Wan, the Jedi Master who'd trained Dooku, who'd watched him fall to the dark side, who understood better than anyone what this offer meant. Your assessment? Morrison asked. He's sincere, Obi-Wan replied, after a moment of forced meditation. Dooku genuinely believes Grievous has gone too far. Whether that sincerity extends to long-term cooperation is questionable. But for this battle, we can trust he'll fight beside us because it serves his interests as much as ours. Then we accept, Morrison decided, provisional alliance for this engagement only. Afterward, we reassess. Commander Dooku. Count, Dooku corrected automatically. Count Dooku, Morrison amended with slight irritation. Welcome to the most unlikely military coalition in human history. Try not to stab us in the back until after we've won. I'll make every effort, Dooku replied dryly, though I can't promise the same for all my subordinates. Some separatists hate the Republic more than they value strategic sense. We'll deal with that if it happens, Morrison stated. For now, coordinate with Admiral Yularen. We have 36 hours before Grievous attacks. Let's make sure we're ready." As Dooku departed to join military planning sessions, Ahsoka approached Obi-Wan with the question everyone was thinking. "Master Kenobi, can we really trust him, even temporarily? He's Sith. Deception is literally part of his philosophy." "No, we can't trust him," Obi-Wan admitted, "but we can use him. There's a difference. Dooku is a pragmatist beneath the Sith ideology. He'll honor agreements when they serve his purposes. And right now, defeating Grievous serves his purposes as much as ours. That's sufficient for a single battle. And after we return to being enemies," Obi-Wan stated simply. "But that's a problem for tomorrow. Today, we focus on surviving." The final hours before the assault passed in a blur of last-minute preparations, quiet prayers, and soldiers writing letters they hoped wouldn't need to be delivered. In cities worldwide, families held each other tighter, knowing that in hours the sky might rain fire and metal. Children asked questions parents couldn't answer honestly, and humanity faced the fundamental truth that had defined species throughout history. Sometimes survival requires courage beyond reason. On the Resolute's bridge, Admiral Yularen watched the chronometer count down with naval officers' stoicism that masked profound concern. 10 hours until estimated engagement, he reported to Morrison via secured transmission. "All forces positioned, all plans finalized. There's nothing left to do but wait and pray." "Then that's what we'll do," Morrison replied. "Admiral, regardless of outcome, thank you. The Republic has given humanity a fighting chance when we had none. History will remember that." "If there's anyone left to write the history," Yularen observed grimly. "There will be," Morrison stated. With confidence, he willed into existence. "Because humanity doesn't quit, and neither does the Republic. Together, we're more than the sum of our parts. Grievous is about to learn that the hard way." 8 hours remaining. 6, 4, 2. And then, right on schedule, the sensors screamed their warning. "Massive contacts emerging from hyperspace," a tactical officer announced. "Separatist fleet inbound. Estimated time to engagement, 90 minutes. Sir, there are hundreds of them." "All hands to battle stations," Yularen commanded calmly, his voice carrying across every ship in the defense fleet. "This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. The battle for Earth has begun." The Separatist fleet emerged from hyperspace like a plague of locusts. 200 frigates, 50 capital ships, and at the center the subjugator-class heavy cruiser Devastation, its ion pulse cannons already charging with energy that could cripple entire fleets. On the Resolute's bridge, Admiral Yularen studied the tactical display with the calm of a naval officer who'd fought impossible battles before and survived through skill, not luck. "They're positioning for orbital bombardment," Yularen observed. "Grievous isn't attempting planetary invasion. He's planning to glass Earth from orbit and leave the ruins as a message." "Then we don't let him get into firing position," Anakin stated, having assumed tactical command of the forward fleet. "All Republic vessels advance to intercept. Dooku's forces flank from coordinates Delta 7. Autobots prepare for atmospheric combat. Some of these ships will break through. It's inevitable." "Inevitable doesn't mean acceptable," Optimus Prime replied from Earth's surface, his massive form visible on visual feeds. "Every ship we stop in orbit is a city that survives on the ground. We hold the line, no matter the cost." The space battle began with Republic Star Destroyers engaging the Separatist screen of frigates. Turbo laser fire lit the void like artificial stars. crimson and green energy bolts crossing the darkness at relativistic velocities. Each hit vaporized armor. Each miss traveled into deep space where it might strike objects light years away in millennia. "Concentrate fire on frigate clusters," Yularen commanded. "Don't waste shots on capital ships until we've cleared the screen." The Resolute and 5 sister Venators fired in coordinated salvos that destroyed separatist frigates by the dozens. But dozens destroyed meant 100 remained. And those 100 were laying down suppressing fire that forced Republic vessels to divert power to shields instead of weapons. "Shields at 70%, the Resolute's chief engineer reported. "We can't sustain this bombardment for long." "We don't need to sustain it long," Anakin replied from the negotiator, his aggressive tactical instincts driving decisions that made conservative admirals nervous. "We need to break through to that subjugator before it reaches firing range. All ships wedge formation. We punch through their line like a spear." "General Skywalker, that's tactically unsound," a Republic captain protested. "Wedge formation leaves our flanks exposed. We'll take concentrated fire from enemies who are aiming at where we were, not where we'll be," Anakin interrupted. "Trust me, I've done this before." The 6 Venators formed a wedge with the negotiator at the point, Anakin's ship leading the charge like a cavalry general from ancient Earth wars. They accelerated to combat speed, shields forward, weapons blazing. Separatist frigates attempted to block their path. Turbo laser fire from concentrated Republic salvos destroyed them. Capital ships moved to intercept. Anakin's tactical genius found gaps in their formation and exploited them with precision that looked like luck, but was actually force-enhanced perception, seeing 3 moves ahead. "We're through their screen," the negotiator's captain reported with disbelief. "General, we actually don't celebrate yet," Anakin cut him off, watching the subjugator loom larger on tactical displays. "That's where the real fight begins." The devastation was a monster. 4,000 meters of separatist engineering designed for one purpose: disabling enemy fleets through massive ion pulse weapons. Its main cannons were charging, energy readings spiking to levels that made Republic sensors scream warnings. "Target those pulse cannons," Yularen commanded from the Resolute. "If that thing fires, every Republic ship in range goes dark. Concentrate all fire." Every turbo laser on 6 Venators focused on the subjugator's primary weapons. The bombardment was apocalyptic. Energy discharge equivalent to small stars detonating. The subjugator's shields held barely, but the pulse cannon's charge cycle was disrupted. "Direct hit," a gunnery officer reported. "Enemy weapon systems offline for..." The sensors recalculated. 30 seconds, then they'll recharge and fire. "Not if we destroy them first," Dooku's cultured voice cut across command channels. His separatist forces, 30 capital ships, loyal to his command, had flanked the main battle and now engaged the subjugator from an angle Republic forces couldn't cover. "Count Dooku supporting Republic forces," Obi-Wan observed from the Defender. "I genuinely never thought I'd witness this." "Desperate times make strange allies," Dooku replied, his munificent-class frigates firing on the subjugator with weapons designed by the same civilization that built it. "Though make no mistake, Kenobi, after this battle, we return to being enemies. Enjoy the cooperation while it lasts." The combined Republic separatist fleet hammered the subjugator with coordinated fire that finally began overwhelming its shields. Armor plating cracked. Internal systems vented atmosphere. The massive vessel shuddered under assault from forces it was never designed to fight simultaneously. On the subjugator's bridge, General Grievous watched his flagship dying with tactical analysis that transcended rage. His cybernetic brain calculated probabilities, assessed remaining assets, and reached a conclusion that made his organic eyes narrow behind the mask. "They've surprised me," Grievous admitted to his tactical droid. "The Republic, the humans, even Dooku's treacherous forces coordinating perfectly. I underestimated their capacity for cooperation." "Recommendation, retreat," the tactical droid stated with mechanical logic. "Fleet losses exceed sustainable rates. Strategic objectives unachievable with current assets." "No," Grievous replied, his clawed hand crushing the droid's processor. "Retreat achieves nothing. But I can still accomplish one objective: make Earth understand the cost of resistance. All ships ramming speed toward the planet. If we cannot glass this world from orbit, we'll crash into it and let kinetic force do what our weapons cannot." The order was insane, suicidal. 200 ships turning themselves into kinetic bombardment weapons, their mass and velocity creating impacts equivalent to asteroid strikes. Civilizations had been ended by less. "He's gone mad," Admiral Yularen breathed, watching separatist ships accelerate toward Earth. "He's actually going to all ships intercept course," Anakin commanded. "We can't stop all of them, but we can stop most. Target engines, disable their acceleration, make them drift harmlessly past Earth instead of hitting it." The Republic fleet split, each Venator targeting multiple separatist vessels, with precision fire aimed at propulsion systems. Ships that lost engines couldn't maintain ramming speed. They'd drift past Earth, recoverable threats instead of extinction events. But 200 ships meant even perfect accuracy couldn't stop them all. 30 vessels will breach our intercept line," Roland calculated with AI precision that made the tragedy quantifiable. Impact locations: Pacific Ocean, Sahara Desert, Amazon rainforest, Siberian tundra. Estimated casualties: 50 million from impacts, and resulting tsunamis, fires, ecological collapse. "Then we minimize casualties through evacuation," Morrison transmitted from Earth, his command bunker deep beneath Washington, D.C. "All population centers in projected impact zones. Emergency evacuation protocols. Now we have," he checked calculations, 17 minutes before first impacts. "Move." Across the world, sirens screamed evacuation warnings in languages from Mandarin to Swahili to Portuguese. Millions ran from cities, fled coastal areas, sought shelter in structures that probably wouldn't survive but offered psychological comfort in humanity's darkest moment. In orbit, something unexpected happened. The Decepticons arrived, not to fight for Megatron, but to fight beside Optimus. Jetfire led them, Soundwave coordinated them, and with them came Cybertronians who'd watched Earth's resistance and decided that beings who fought this hard for their home deserved support. "Autobots," Jetfire transmitted, his ancient form transforming from SR-71 mode to robot configuration with weapons hot. "Separatists are using kamikaze tactics, ramming vessels toward Earth we can intercept. Cybertronians are strong enough to redirect ships through direct physical manipulation, but it requires getting close, potentially lethal close." "Then we get close," Optimus stated simply, transforming and rocketing into orbit with thruster-assisted flight that Earth physics said shouldn't work, but Cybertronian engineering made possible. "All Autobots target separatist vessels on ramming trajectory, physical intercept, redirect them away from populated areas." What followed was aerial combat that defied human comprehension. 40-foot robots flew through orbital space, intercepting vessels thousands of times their mass through application of force that leveraged Cybertronian strength and thruster technology. Optimus Prime personally grabbed a Munificent-class frigate and used his thrusters to alter its trajectory, every joint in his frame straining, every system pushed beyond rated capacity, but he held. The ship's new vector took it away from Sao Paulo and into empty ocean where its impact would create tsunamis instead of megadeaths. Bumblebee, smaller, lighter, faster, targeted fighters that had survived Republic turbo laser fire. His plasma cannons disabled their engines with precision that made him Earth's unlikely savior for the second time in this war. And Soundwave, the Decepticon who'd chosen principle over programming, coordinated it all with communications efficiency that let 40 Cybertronians function like 400. This is impossible, a human astronomer watching from a ground observatory breathed, witnessing giant robots physically wrestling spacecraft away from collision courses. Physics doesn't work this way. Mass and momentum and Cybertronians don't care about human physics, Dr. Chen replied, watching alongside him. They just care about results, and the results are we're surviving. In space, the Jedi contributed in ways only Force users could. Mace Windu stood on the Resolute's exterior hull, void exposure that should have killed him instantly, but Jedi techniques let him survive vacuum briefly, using the Force to redirect debris that threatened civilian evacuation ships. His telekinetic power wasn't strong enough to move capital ships, but it could nudge fragments of destroyed vessels away from populations below. Obi-Wan coordinated defensive fire from the Defender, his tactical brilliance and Force precognition letting him predict Separatist ship movements before they happened. Hostile vessel at coordinate 77 Alpha will veer toward Beijing in 30 seconds. Intercept now before it adjusts course. Ahsoka Tano aboard a LAAT gunship with clone troopers engaged vulture droids that had broken through orbital defenses. Her Force-enhanced reflexes let her guide clone pilots through dogfights that should have killed them, sensing attacks before sensors detected them, knowing when to break left or right through intuition that transcended tactical training. "How do you know where they'll fire?" a clone pilot shouted, pulling a maneuver Ahsoka had guided through the Force. "I don't know," Ahsoka replied honestly. "The Force just shows me and I trust it. Now break right now." The pilot obeyed. A plasma bolt that would have vaporized them passed through space they'd occupied microseconds before. "I'm starting to understand why the Republic respects Jedi," the pilot admitted. On Earth's surface, the first impacts came. A Separatist munificent frigate, damaged, engines destroyed, but still carrying enough kinetic energy to crater a city, struck the Sahara Desert 200 kilometers from any population center. The impact was visible from orbit, a flash of light followed by a shockwave that created an instant sandstorm spanning thousands of square kilometers. "Impact confirmed," Roland reported. "Sahara Desert, 0 civilian casualties. Desert nomad populations evacuated successfully." "One down," Morrison noted grimly. 29 to go. The impacts continued. Siberian tundra. No casualties, just permafrost vaporized into steam. Amazon rainforest. Ecological damage catastrophic, but indigenous populations evacuated in time. Pacific Ocean. Tsunamis created, but coastal areas had been cleared. "We're surviving," General Webb observed with disbelief. "Casualties are in the hundreds instead of millions. How is that possible?" "Because everyone, human, clone, Jedi, Autobot, even former enemies, is fighting like this is their world," Morrison replied. "Grievous wanted to demonstrate the cost of resistance. Instead, he's demonstrating the power of cooperation." But the battle wasn't over. On the subjugator's dying bridge, Grievous made a final calculation. His fleet was destroyed. His ramming attack had failed, but he still had one option: personal assault. "Escape pods are for cowards," Grievous stated, igniting his personal fighter. I will land on this world personally. I will kill their leaders. I will show them that even in defeat, the Separatists are not to be underestimated. He launched from the subjugator seconds before the ship's reactor went critical, its death explosion consuming the last dozen Separatist vessels still capable of fighting. Grievous's starfighter, a modified, soulless one enhanced with technology from multiple civilizations, screamed through Earth's atmosphere with speed that made re-entry friction irrelevant. His target, Washington, D.C., the symbolic and practical heart of Earth's resistance. "We have a hostile contact entering atmosphere," a NORAD analyst reported. "Single ship, unknown configuration, heading for D.C. at Mach 7 and accelerating. ETA 4 minutes. All anti-aircraft batteries engage," Morrison ordered. "Patriots, THAAD, everything we have. Do not let that ship reach the capital." Missiles launched from defensive positions around D.C. SAM batteries fired with computational precision. F-35s engaged from altitude with AIM-120 AMRAAMs. Everything modern military technology could throw at a single target converged on Grievous's fighter. He dodged them all. Cyborg reflexes enhanced by 4 arms that each controlled separate flight surfaces made Grievous nearly impossible to hit with conventional weapons. He wove through missile salvos like threading needles, his ship's weapons returning fire that destroyed SAM sites and fighters with casual efficiency. "He's going to make it," General Webb stated with horror. "Everything we have, and he's going to..." Master Chief's voice cut across military channels, calm despite circumstances. "Not if I have anything to say about it." The Spartan stood on the White House roof in full Mjolnir armor, a weapon in his hands that made everyone pause. Jetfire's experimental planetary defense cannon, scaled down to something one augmented human could theoretically carry. Theoretically. "Chief, that weapon draws power from a nuclear reactor," Dr. Chen protested via comm. "It's not designed for individual use. The recoil alone will..." "I know," Chief interrupted, aiming at Grievous's incoming fighter, with targeting assistance from Roland directly feeding into his HUD. "But it's the only thing with enough power to punch through whatever shields he's running. One shot, that's all I need." He pulled the trigger. The weapon's discharge was visible across 3 states, a beam of concentrated energy that made turbo laser fire look gentle by comparison. The recoil shattered Chief's right arm despite Mjolnir's kinetic dampening, threw him backward through the White House roof, and probably would have killed a normal human. But Spartans weren't normal humans, and the shot was perfect. Grievous's fighter exploded 500 meters above the National Mall, its debris raining down on monuments already damaged from previous battles. The cyborg general ejected at the last moment, his personal shield protecting him from the fall, his 4 lightsabers igniting before he even hit the ground. "I am General Grievous," the cyborg roared, his mechanical voice echoing across Washington, D.C. "Jedi killer, conqueror of star systems. You will not defeat me with your primitive weapons and borrowed technology." Clone troopers surrounded him immediately, the 501st under Captain Rex, weapons trained on the most dangerous non-force user in the galaxy. "Stand down," Rex commanded, his DC-15 steady despite facing a being who'd killed hundreds of clone troopers personally. "You're surrounded. Your fleet is destroyed. Your ramming attack failed. Surrender and you'll be treated according to..." Grievous moved faster than human eyes could track. 4 lightsabers, stolen from Jedi he'd killed, created a whirlwind of plasma that killed 6 clone troopers before Rex could even finish his sentence. "I do not surrender," Grievous stated, advancing on the remaining clones with the confidence of someone who'd fought Jedi Masters and survived. "I do not negotiate. I do not show mercy. I am..." Anakin Skywalker's blue lightsaber intercepted Grievous's strike with force that made the cyborg stagger. "You're about to learn what happens when you threaten my planet," Anakin stated, his voice carrying fury that came from watching friends die in orbit. "I've wanted to do this since Geonosis. Let's see if you're as dangerous as your reputation suggests." The duel that followed was witnessed by millions through broadcast feeds and recorded by every camera in DC. Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one, the hero, with no fear versus General Grievous, the Jedi killer, the cyborg who'd survived everything the Republic threw at him. 4 lightsabers versus 1. Cybernetic enhancements versus Force abilities. Programmed technique versus intuitive genius. Grievous fought with precise efficiency learned from Count Dooku's instruction. Each strike calculated for maximum lethality. Each movement designed to exploit Jedi weaknesses he'd studied for years. But Anakin didn't fight like other Jedi. He fought with gem. So aggression that overwhelmed calculated defense. His strikes carried force-enhanced strength that made Grievous's cybernetic arms strain. His attacks came from angles that shouldn't work, but did because Anakin bent rules others followed religiously. "You're skilled," Grievous admitted, his 4 blades creating defensive patterns that kept Anakin at bay. But skill means nothing against superior numbers. 4 lightsabers will always defeat 1. "Quantity doesn't beat quality," Anakin shot back, using force push to separate Grievous's guard. "And I've got more quality than you've ever faced." He struck. Grievous blocked with 2 blades while attacking with the other 2. Anakin deflected both counterattacks, used force pull to unbalance the cyborg, and drove his lightsaber through Grievous's left arm joint. 1 arm fell, still clutching its lightsaber. 3 remained. "You're slow," Anakin observed, pressing his advantage. "All that cybernetic enhancement and you're still limited by mechanical systems. I move at the speed of thought. You move at the speed of servos." Another strike. Another arm severed. 2 lightsabers left. "I am General Grievous," the cyborg raged, his tactical superiority eroding under Anakin's relentless assault. "I have killed 200 Jedi. You are just another—" Anakin's final strike severed both remaining arms simultaneously. Grievous collapsed, disarmed literally, his organic brain still functioning but his combat capability eliminated. "You killed 200 Jedi," Anakin stated, standing over the fallen cyborg. "But you never fought me. Big difference." He raised his lightsaber for the killing blow and stopped, because Master Chief's voice cut across the battlefield, the Spartan having recovered from his weapon's recoil and limped to the scene. "Don't," Chief stated simply. "He killed friends of mine," Anakin replied, his blade still raised. "Murdered clone troopers, threatened Earth. He deserves a trial," Chief interrupted. "Interrogation, intelligence that helps us prevent future attacks. Killing him in rage accomplishes nothing except making you feel better. Is that what Jedi do?" Anakin looked at the Spartan, a soldier who'd fought for 40 years, who'd seen more war than Anakin could imagine, who stood there broken-armed and exhausted, but still advocating for principles over revenge. "You're right," Anakin admitted, deactivating his lightsaber. "I hate it, but you're right. Commander Rex, take Grievous into custody. Maximum security. If he escapes, shoot to kill, but until then, he lives." "Yes, sir," Rex confirmed, binding the cyborg with restraints designed for Force users but adapted for mechanicals. In orbit, the space battle was concluding. Admiral Yularen's report to Morrison carried exhaustion, but also triumph. Enemy fleet destroyed or scattered. Grievous captured. Orbital bombardment threat eliminated. Earth is secure, Mr. President. We won. The Words echoed across a planet that had just survived extinction. Celebrations erupted in cities worldwide. Strangers embraced. Churches filled with people thanking whatever gods they believed in. Children cried with relief they didn't fully understand but felt deeply. And in command centers across the world, military leaders and political officials collapsed in their chairs, the weight of responsibility finally lifting. "Final casualty count?" Morrison asked quietly, knowing the victory had cost blood. "Military, 3,000 dead, 7,400 wounded. Civilian, 816 confirmed dead from impacts and collateral damage. Hundreds of thousands displaced. Economic damage in the trillions." "But Mr. President," General Webb paused, his voice carrying wonder. "We were facing extinction. These casualties, as horrible as they are, represent survival. We won at a cost humanity can actually absorb." Morrison nodded, then addressed his staff with words that would define Earth's new era. "Today, humanity learned it's not alone. We learned that allies exist beyond our stars. We learned that cooperation transcends species and origin. And most importantly, we learned that when pushed to the edge, humanity doesn't break. We fight. We adapt. We survive. The Republic will eventually return to its galaxy. The Autobots may join them or stay here. That's their choice. But Earth has changed forever. We're no longer an isolated civilization wondering if we're alone. We're part of something bigger, and we just proved we deserve to be. Now let's rebuild, let's heal, and let's prepare for whatever comes next, because this won't be the last time someone tests Earth's resolve, but it'll be the test everyone else remembers when they're deciding whether to be our friend or our enemy. 3 months later, the ceremony took place at the newly constructed Monument to the Convergence, a structure in Geneva that honored all who'd died defending Earth. Humans, clones, Autobots, even Decepticons who'd defected to fight for principles over programming. 20,000 names from the plague, 3,000 military dead, 816 civilian casualties from the final battle, and, controversially, the names of Cybertronians and clones who'd fallen defending a world that wasn't theirs. President Morrison stood before assembled representatives from every nation, every species that had fought. His words were transmitted across Earth and into space, where Republic vessels prepared for their eventual return home. 3 months ago, our world changed forever. We discovered we weren't alone, that the universe was bigger, stranger, and more dangerous than we'd imagined. We faced enemies with technology that made ours look primitive. We confronted genocide, biological warfare, and extinction-level threats. And we survived. Not alone, not through our own strength, but through alliance with beings from other galaxies who chose to stand with us when they had no obligation to do so. The Galactic Republic, the Autobots, even separatists and Decepticons who chose principle over faction loyalty. Today we honor them, we remember them, and we commit to the future they helped create. An Earth that's part of the galactic community, that contributes to civilization instead of just receiving protection, that gives as much as it takes. The Republic is preparing to return home, to resume their war in their own galaxy. We don't ask them to stay. They have their own people who need them. But we thank them. And we promise that when they need us, Earth will answer, because that's what allies do. In the crowd, Obi-Wan Kenobi stood beside Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano, watching humanity take its first steps as a spacefaring civilization with Jedi pride. "We did well," Obi-Wan observed. "Earth will remember the Jedi fondly." "They'll remember all of us," Anakin corrected. "Jedi, clones, Autobots, everyone who fought together. That's the real legacy, not just survival, but proof that cooperation works. "Do you think we'll come back?" Ahsoka asked, "after we leave? Will Earth be part of our lives again?" "If the Force wills it," Obi-Wan replied. "But even if we never return, we've planted seeds here. Democracy, justice, hope. Those ideas will grow with or without us." Nearby, Optimus Prime stood with the remaining Autobots, watching humans build monuments to fallen warriors with reverence usually reserved for their own heroes. "What do you think, old friend?" Ratchet asked. "Do we stay or return with the Republic?" "We stay," Optimus decided. "The Autobots have been searching for a home since Cybertron fell. Earth offered us one, and in return, we offered them protection. That's a bond worth honoring. Even though some humans still fear us, fear can become trust given time," Optimus stated. "We have time, and we have the most valuable thing any civilization can possess, a shared history of fighting together. That's the foundation for everything else." In a secured facility, Count Dooku prepared to depart with the separatist forces loyal to him. His agreement with Earth had been honored. He'd fought Grievous, contributed to victory, and now left as promised. "You could stay," Obi-Wan offered, visiting his former apprentice one last time. "Join the Republic. Help rebuild what you helped destroy. There's still time, Dooku. You don't have to be Sith." "But I choose to be," Dooku replied without malice. "I still believe the Republic is corrupt. Still believe the Jedi have lost their way. Earth didn't change those convictions, Obi-Wan. It just reminded me that some lines shouldn't be crossed even in pursuit of correct goals." "Then this is goodbye," Obi-Wan stated, extending his hand. Dooku shook it. "Former master and apprentice, Jedi and Sith, allies and enemies. Until we meet again, old friend, and we will meet again, the Force guarantees it." As Dooku's ship departed, Obi-Wan felt sadness but also acceptance. Some people couldn't be saved because they didn't want to be, but even Sith Lords could have moments of principle. Earth had proven that much. In the Pentagon, a very different meeting was occurring. "Dr. Chen," General Webb began, addressing the NASA scientist who'd become a key figure in Earth's defense. "We're establishing a new branch of the military, Space Force, but actually functional this time. We need someone to lead scientific development, someone who understands both Earth technology and Republic capabilities, someone who's proven they can think in crisis." Chen looked at the offer, a promotion that would make her one of the most powerful scientists on Earth. What would the position entail? Reverse engineering Republic technology, developing Earth's indigenous space capabilities, preparing for the day when we defend ourselves without needing Jedi or Autobots, making sure that if another Megatron or Grievous shows up, we can handle it with our own resources. "When do I start?" "Yesterday," Webb replied with a slight smile. "Welcome to humanity's future, Dr. Chen. Try not to blow up the planet while building it." And in a secure room where Master Chief recovered from injuries that would have killed anyone without Spartan augmentations, Cortana's voice, impossible considering she was supposedly gone, whispered through his helmet systems. "Chief, can you hear me?" "Cortana?" Chief sat up despite medical restraints. "You're not here. You can't be. You were—" "I found a way back," the AI's voice confirmed, her tone carrying urgency. "Through the dimensional tiers, through connections I don't fully understand. But Chief, I need to warn you, the convergence wasn't random. Something caused it. Something pulled both Star Wars and Transformers universes into contact with Earth specifically. And whatever that something is, it's still out there, still active, still planning." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying the wars aren't over," Cortana stated grimly. "The Separatists and Decepticons were just the opening act. Something bigger is coming, something that makes them look like practice. Chief felt the familiar weight of responsibility settle back onto his shoulders. They'd won. They'd survived. But Cortana was right. This was just the beginning. "Then we prepare," Chief stated simply. "Earth, the Republic, the Autobots. Together, whatever's coming, we'll face it the same way we faced everything else." "Together," Cortana confirmed, "always. Together." Earth had joined the galactic stage. The Republic had found unexpected allies. The Autobots had found a new home. And somewhere in the spaces between dimensions, something ancient and powerful watched the convergence it had orchestrated with satisfaction. Phase 1 was complete. Phase 2 would begin soon. The battle for Earth was over. The war for reality had just begun.